and I'm just touching quickly on those things. I mean, there's a lot. I could speak on every area if I needed to, agriculture and many other things. But essentially, we have a very difficult task ahead of us. Yeah. But if Jamaica doesn't get a change of government now, I don't know what kind of state we're going to be, because we have a corrupt government and a power-hungry government.
One question I would like to ask Mark Golding at this moment is, what kind of state do we now have? The Labour Party has been there from 2016. And he's saying he doesn't know what kind of state Jamaica will be if the Labour Party were to win for a third time. And so my question is very simple. Send this to the Englishman for me, please. Send it to him. I want to ask you, Mark Golding, what kind of state do we now have in Jamaica? Why should it be any different in a third term than it is different now? What exactly is corrupt about this government? I mean, yes, we've heard about some people who did some things, and those persons, like Ruel Reid and many others, were arrested. Right? Now, there's a big difference between corruption and getting away with corruption, and corruption and being investigated and charged for corruption. So, Mark Golding needs to come and tell us what's the latest thing now that gives him the impression that the government of Jamaica is corrupt. It seems as if you know something that we don't know, my people. Don't you think you want to know? You don't want to know? Me want to know, man. Tell him to come and tell us now what has happened and to name the corruption outside of those that were arrested. That matters before the court. And you can't be cussing government and talking about them corrupt when people have been charged. Right? So come and tell us now, since those allegations, tell us what corruption now the government is involved in. Don't keep it a secret. Come and tell us, please. Anyway, folks, let me welcome you to Jamaica 411. Yes. Welcome back, my subscribers. Always lovely to have you. And talking to you, yes, and reading your comments, but I haven't been able to read your comments lately, and I apologize, but you keep the comments coming. I will get to them at some point. If you have already subscribed to the channel, I want to thank you very much for doing so. If not, please go ahead and do so. And remember to share, and give the video a thumbs up. All right? Wonderful. All right, so now that you're back with me, let's get down to business. Yes, so I went on a tour with Karen Cross and Liz. Yes, it was quite an interesting tour, but I will let Karen tell you about it first, and then I will come after and give my own views. In the meanwhile, I intended to come and talk to you about the polls, because I think you want to hear what we think about this poll that Don Anderson has put out. The poll, of course, was commissioned by the RGR Gleaner group, but this Englishman here is in foreign, and him not too righted, so every now and then him get a little mix up. I suppose we are supposed to forgive him, but I don't know about that. I mean, the persons who have him there, I suppose they have no choice but to keep him until the election, and then after that, he'll be history. Now, I'm going to let you listen to this comment of his. He evidently is at a function in Hartford, Connecticut in the United States, and he is griping about the polls, and he made some comments that was more than shocking. And I think if he's going to come out and make these comments, he needs to come with his evidence. Show us some evidence. So let you listen to him, and then I'll come back with my own views.
So and I'm just touching quickly on those things. I mean, there's a lot. I could speak on every area if I needed to, agriculture and many other things. But
when I heard him say this, I was a little bit curious. He was speaking as though he was on a getting to know you mission, as if he's trying to convince the comrades abroad of who he is. I mean, I can talk about agriculture. In other words, he can talk on any subject that you want me to talk on, right? As if he's trying to do what the late Socrates said we were unable to do. We can't market him. He's there marketing himself. And I'm going to let you hear another part of what he said. Not sure if I let you hear in this video, depending on how long it is. But this is listen to him. Listen to the things that he's saying. I'm going to let you hear it again. And tell me if this don't sound like a getting to know me. You know? A man trying to market himself, telling people who he is and what he's about, and in the process trying to distinguish himself, I suppose, from the government that is there now, that apparently everybody knows. And this to me is part of the problem of selecting a man that nobody knows. Just come into politics the other day, right? The party which is broke has to be finding resources to send this man all over the place, not for them or for him to be talking about what he's going to do, but just to make people know who he is. And even at the end of it all, they don't know him. Why? Because just telling people who you are is not what this thing is about. This is politics. And so when people talk about, no, you didn't need to see your political work. And that is what is lacking. But let us continue to listen.
So and I'm just touching quickly on those things. I mean, there's a lot. I could speak on every area if I needed to, agriculture and many other things. But essentially, we have a very difficult task ahead of us. Yeah. But if Jamaica doesn't get a change of government now, I don't know what kind of state we're going to be. You know, because we have a corrupt government and a power-hungry government. And a power-hungry government.
You heard that? Was I hearing right? And a power-hungry government? What do you mean by that? What do you mean a power-hungry government? People put themselves up, 63 members on the PMP side, 63 members on the JLP side. Them all go out and they muggle and pose and talk them sweet talk, and the Jamaican people elected the MPs on one side and elected the MPs on the other side, and it turned out that the Labour Party won the beauty contest twice and seeking a third election, right, to be government. Now, what is he talking about when he said them power hungry? I don't understand this man. Is this me telling you that the man you're not right to do? And I don't think you believe me. This is a sick man. The man sick and them know it. They know what sickness him have. We need a medical report on this man. We need a medical report. We want to see not only a report on his physical health, we want to see a report on his mental health. The government is power hungry. The people of Jamaica voted to put the members of parliament in the house, and according to our constitution, it is the party, or I should say, the side with the largest number of MPs at them form government. And as it happened, the Labour Party got 49 due to his actions. Let me give you an example of why the Labour Party is in government now, right? They did not want Peter Phillips to be Prime Minister of Jamaica. They want Peter Bunting to be Prime Minister of Jamaica. And when Peter Bunting challenged and lost the challenge to Dr. Peter Phillips in September 7, 2019, they did not just accept that. and decide to work in order to get the victory for the party, which they knew the election was going to run the following year. No, they separated themselves. You saw them in the parliament, sitting apart from those who supported Dr. Peter Phillips and his victory. And then they went into a group and there hatched a plot to challenge again in 2020 at the conference. But they didn't just do that, they did more. They actively made the party look divided. They were leaking the party's business to the same station that they're complaining now, talking about them in the government's pocket, right? NNN. And the party's business was being leaked left, right, and center. Every time the party looked calm and united, they went and put out something to make everybody know that the party is not united, right? Because nobody votes for a party that is divided. Certainly not those who, have a choice. You have the diehards who will always vote for the parties. But those who are swing voters will not vote for such a party, and you need those swing voters to be on your side in order to win. He was part of that. And you want evidence? I'll show you. This was one of the important messages leaked from that WhatsApp group they had set up. Rise United Strategists. Right? It was Nikisha Burchell who established it. She and Peter Bunting were the admins. So they were the ones who added people to that group. Now, Mark Golding was responding to something Luther Buchanan said. Yes, same Luther Buchanan who lost the seat in Eastern Westmoreland, PJ seat. Yes. So he said, and we can read a part of what he said. Listen, I am firm in my view. I am not going. They were talking about the conference that was to be held in 2020, the annual conference. And he said, however, since the leadership thinks different, go. But if we continue along this line of running behind them because we are afraid of negative criticism and not make the point of what we expect to be, and he went on. The leadership he was referring to was the Rise United leadership. This particular group contained those persons, so clearly they were leading leadership of something, right? Ian Hills, we know, was the one who was supposed to be organizing the groups. And Dayton Campbell was the one who was in charge of those bloggers. Yes, that's my understanding. So Mark Golding was responding to that. I believe that this conversation took place somewhere between the 3rd and the 8th of October 2019. So Mark said, some difficult questions are, having lost, should we continue to rise during the period before the next general election? So him ask a question. If so, what is the right way to keep rising without appearing to be indulging in anti-party activity and undermining our chances in the next general election? You hear that? So they want to keep rising. They want to continue with their Rise campaign in secret. That is what he's saying here. Because if they are found out, they would have been guilty or found guilty or brought up before the disciplinary committee for anti-party activity. Right? So instead of working with Peter Phillips and the others to make the PNP win the election, they were busy in this group planning and plotting how they're going to continue to rise, because their intention is to take over the PNP come what may. May I ask you a question, Mark Golding? Were you power hungry when you were making this statement? Was this not a power hungry move on your part? You went into an election with that uppity Negro Peter Bunting, and he lost. And instead of accepting the loss, you decided that you were going to continue to rise in secret. Right? Yes. And isn't that power hunger? Didn't you know that when you were rising in secret, that it would make the PNP lose and Andrew Holness would get back government, the corrupt government that you need to remove now. Not because you want to remove a corrupt government, because you're not better than him. You're not better than Andrew Holness. No, no, no. Your main aim is to get power for yourself. So what you are doing, in essence, is projecting yourself and who you are onto somebody else. Because that's exactly who and what you are, a greedy, power-hungry scoundrel. Let me continue. He went on to say, having lost, I want to pay close attention to his language. Having lost, if we appear to be pursuing our own political agenda and undermining the party's chances of victory, we will pay a price for it, and not just in the form of opprobrium from Peter Phillips supporters, but from independent-minded comrades as well. Independent-minded comrades, persons who are neither supporting either Bunting or Peter Phillips. Those who would say, well, no matter which one win, I'm a comrade and I will support the leader, right? And as for that word opprobrium, what does it mean? So here we are, it's a noun, harsh criticism or censure. And the second meaning is public disgrace arising from shameful conduct, right? That is what he was concerned about, if they were found out. And they were found out. So now they're facing the wrath of the comrades, right? And it's a little bit away, The vast majority of them in the party, they're not with them. You understand? We calculated from our checks that there are no more than 12% risers in the PNP. Yes, when the comrades found out, they totally turned against them. Many decided to them not working with them. Indeed, the party is short of experienced workers. And never mind what you see on the surface and what you see on the political platform. When it comes to the political activists, just like Karen Cross, majority of them ain't there working with them. Right? So they're just there muddling along and hoping for the best. So there is Mark Golding explaining to the group that if they were ever to be found out, then there is a price to pay. And they are paying it now. But they still have the leadership. Right? And they're not giving it up. And he is calling somebody else power hungry. I think Peter Bunting in particular, and also our other leaders, you see it? When they told you that Rise United was a political slogan, right? It was not any organization, and when the election was over, they had dismantled. You now see that it's a damn lie. Here is Mark Golding, who we believe is the brain behind that operation, saying that I think Peter Bunting in particular, and also our other leaders, so they were leaders, they were people who were appointed to certain positions to carry out certain functions on behalf of this movement. Rise United movement, that's why we call it RUM. I think Peter Bunting in particular, and also our other leaders, should continue to advocate publicly, you hear that? In a constructive manner on all national and party issues on which we have something significant to say. People, listen to what I'm saying here now. The People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party, they are two political parties. And according to our system of government, when you're a member of either party, especially in the House, they are supposed to be speaking with one voice. You're not supposed to hear one has said this and one has said that. Once you see that happening, that signifies that there's a division. You following me? And here is Mark Golding telling his group of leaders in this Rise United strategist group, WhatsApp group, that Peter Bunting, right, him in particular, and the other leaders, they should come out publicly, right, and speak on issues concerning the party that they have a concern with. So while the PNP, Lisa Hanna, Dr. Phillips, and the others are talking what the party's policies are, him is proposing that they who form the Rise United movement, and you will see, should go out there and talk about issues that concern them. And them have on the PNP color, And the PNP colors, So here is the evidence, right, of this power-hungry man and his uppity Negro friend, Peter Bunting, right? Planning in a group how they're going to undermine the PNP, because the PNP had to lose. If the PNP did not lose, Bunting cannot be leader. He would have to wait 5 years, and that he did not want to do. Let me continue. He said, Peter Bunting should continue to be assertive in keeping with his inner conviction, especially in Parliament, and we should all rally behind him when he does so. Now you know why Bunting was standing up in Parliament when Peter Phillips and the others were saying, yesterday, state of emergency, me personally didn't agree with it. But while they were saying yesterday, state of emergency, you notice that Bunting and Golding voted against it. Yes, and Bunting was standing up there talking about for them Rise agenda in the Parliament, while the PNP is talking about what policy prescriptions they intend to implement when they form the next government. Bunting was here talking about for him thing. And the comrades and everybody were sitting down and watching it in full display, this unity. He went on to say, organizationally, group strengthening should be the order of the day. Form groups. You need to form groups. You can't win the election without forming groups. It turns out at the end of the day, they formed 400 groups, most of which were fake groups, with 600 delegates. Remember, Peter Bunting lost by 76 votes, Right? Okay. He went on to say, others have made useful points on how best to do this. Do what? Rise without appearing to do so. So what we are looking at here is the outline of a plan or set of plans that they did indeed execute. They were in full flight. It's just that we didn't know what was going on. So this now, at the last paragraph, is what they're going to be doing, right? How they're going to rise without appearing to be doing so. This is what the plan was. Wellness, lifestyle, financial literacy workshops for PNP people, especially the delegates across Jamaica, would also help to encourage our supporters and bring others on board for when the Rise trumpet sounds again. You hear this power-hungry man? Undermining his own party. While the PNP was there with their policies and trying to convince Jamaicans that this is the right way to go, they were there in workshops. In the constituency, I chat to the comrades, especially the delegates, to drum up support. So while everybody else at the party work, they do for their own work. That's the agenda that Mark Golding was talking about in the first paragraph. The political agenda. And him have the gall to be calling somebody power hungry. And why is he calling the government power hungry? Because them spend up a whole heap of money. My understanding is that they spend over $600 million trying to unseat Dr. Peter Phillips with the most idiotic campaign one can hope to imagine. A man run poll after poll, showing that he would lose and be the better loser to Andrew Holness. And the delegates were supposed to put him there. Then him have the most idiotic slogan, we can win. Me here says that Obama used, but that may work in America and now work with Jamaican people. Jamaica want people like winners, and them want you to say you will win. Just like what them do with Martin Otto about him, an ex-prime minister. They never made that mistake a second time. Not only did they spend over $600 million in 2019, we understand that is $1.6 billion it cost them up till now, at least last year. The risers, they might eat them out of house and land. Congratulations to the lot of you. Right? You're doing a fine job. Make sure whatever work you do, make them pay you. It must cost them. And them business proven is going down. Them locked down 2 branches in the Caribbean. And the one locally ain't going so fine. Them constructing apartments and so on, and that not going so well either. And Mark is losing money like hell. Started out, we know for sure, with the equivalent of 8.7 million US dollars after they sold the shares in DB&G, and now him declaring in his statutory declaration that him just have a little bit over $2 million left. US, that is. So they are desperately in need of government. And why do they need government? Because they have a clean hand and a pure heart. Can you imagine? No. They want government because that is how they made their monies in the first place. It was out of their connections with the PNP of the 1990s, Bunting's connections in any event. And now they don't have no connection because the Labour Party is in power, right? They are out there competing with other businessmen and then buy the best employees you can find. Everywhere the people go and excel, them get them to come work for them, and still them business floundering because they are not good businessmen. They cannot make it in business without a little political help. Is there a sense of it? So now they want to go into government because there is largesse for them there to make. A whole heap of land them can transfer to them companies and help them out. These men have no interest in people. They don't like people. So they could not be going there to do anything for me and you. And so clearly they must be there to do something for themselves. And those who put up the money, that $1.6 billion, the Billionaires Club, right? Those you see out there endorse them. I imagine, right? They are the ones who put up this money. And now, look like them will get it back. Because if you put up $1.6 billion, it must be an investment as business people. Yes, they're making an investment. And the PNP can't give them back that money. So where are they expected to get it back? With interest? You're not going to spend money without expecting a return on it. That's not how businessmen operate, and these people are business people. Capitalists. Hoping to ride on the backs of those comrades into Jamaica House so that they can fill up their pockets, because that is what governments represent in this country. Corruption. So why should they be any different? Them simply going there to do what others were doing, except that they have the gall to be pretending, having benefited from their political connections handsomely. Had it not been for the deal with Finsack, with Billy Craig, that is after that deal, that DB&G took off. I was doing very well, right? Anyway, let us continue to listen to this wild and ignorant Englishman.
Essentially, we have a very difficult task ahead of us. Yeah. But if Jamaica doesn't get a change of government now, I don't know what kind of state we're going to be. Because we have a corrupt government and a power-hungry government. And they're supported by the elite. And the media is bought out by them too.
Jamaican people need the People's National Party back in government with Mark Jefferson Golden as the Prime Minister and a top honorary set of people around me to run the country.
So, how are going this? Englishman, what happened to you now? Your top honoraries people ain't gonna leave you? Why? You cost them too much money. $1.6 billion. And what is going on in the polls now? The PNP supposedly leading in the polls, according to Don Anderson. Right? But what is happening with you? You're dragging on the party. Drop 10 points. The party now gone up to 46%. Nearly 50% of the people say the party not doing a good job. You're not a leader. And then finally realizing that you can't cut it. So when you go to them for money, what are they telling you? Them telling you what? Business not too good? Why business not going good? Yes, you promise. Yes, I promise, but we expect it, and them can't, and this, and that them I tell you? So they can't give you any money? Because here is Dayton Campbell telling Lawrence Road that the party has a what? A cash flow crisis. It's in a cash flow crisis. Gross mismanagement of the People's National Party's affairs. Since you came to the leadership of the party, how many paid posts did you create? Soon find out, How many paid posts did you create in the party? A cash-strapped party. Come and tell the comrades them that. You and Peter Bunting are money people who have Tapanaris friends, and the party is in a cash flow crisis. How you explain that? But then again, you can't even run on a private business. What the hell you can't run? You can't run on a private business. The PNP, you can't even raise funds. You can't even manage the affairs of a political party that is made up largely of volunteers. And you can't even find money to run the party's business. Which country you want to run, Master? So you're going to have a hard time getting the power to get back the money we want to spend. I'm trying to understand it. You who said that you're a privileged son of the soil, that you have Tapanaris people who are willing to come pump money into the People's National Party once the delegates elect your leader. That you tell them, Is that you told the delegates, Right? And you are going to surround yourself with some Tapanaris people. And you're going to come and tell the people in Connecticut that you're going to have a hard time taking the government from Andrew Holness because the elites are supporting him. Why would be the elite supporting him? Because them think him a go win, and you can't win. Nobody not going to put money into something that they can't get nothing in return. But it's more than that. And I should tell you, Mark Golding, it's rather strange. Because if you think about it, the elites don't normally put money into one party, Them give the Labour Party and then give PNP. If them a Labour Party supporter, then give more to Labour, less to PNP, but you get money. And if the Tapanaris happen to be a sympathizer of the PNP get more money and then give money to Labour. That's how the thing work. Now you're complaining and cussing the elites. So it looked to me like the elites not giving you any money at all. And that is rather strange. Is it possible that the latest idiotic moves that you've been making is the cause of it? Taking a twice convicted man convicted of cocaine, lock up in a prison for 10 years and going to take him and put him in a seat to come represent people? And have all kind of dancehall people on stage like it's a show you run and can't tell people what you're going to do for their country. Up and down and put out polls that is clearly strange. And that is what you're doing with the party's money. Up and down and try to promote yourself instead of promoting what it is you're going to do for the people. Which Tapanaris businessman was going to invest in that? You're an idiot. So you cost the Tapanaris. I talk about say, they must follow the government now, so they're not giving no money. Because I'm sure if they were giving you money, you wouldn't come out and say that. Right? The last time I understand it was cousins who came out and had some words about them and some money came in. I wonder if some money going to come in these circumstances.
So it's not an easy road to trod the road that we are treading, comrades. It is not going to be easy to get them out because, you know, the news, the things that we put out don't get covered.
Like what, sir? Give us an example of what you're talking about. What it is that you put out that don't get covered. You mean them little foo-foo something that you put on the PNP page where you call press release and media release? Is that you're talking about? Then who you think had time to go sit down and read that? Is so no intent for run politics by issuing press release and media release? And a complaint now say people are not covering what you're putting out. And not only that, some of the things I want to say on a conference, you don't really expect the media to carry them and go get lawsuit in them clothes. No. They're not carrying your things them where you send because majority when I say so lie. And the people them have every right to defend them station by not carrying libelous statements. For as old time people say puss and dog not have the same luck. So you can go to go say all kind of libelous thing on the platform and next you know the media carry it and go get sued. So perhaps that is the reason why they're not carrying some of the things that you're saying on the political platform because they're hardly saying anything anywhere else other than on the political platform.
It's not going to be easy to get them out because, you know, the news, the things that we put out don't get covered. You know, even today, there's a poll being run right now. It's a independent, I think it was paid for by some business people, a Don Anderson poll.
For the record, this is a poll he's speaking of. It's an RGR Gleaner Don Anderson poll. The poll was commissioned by the RGR Gleaner group, not any businessman, and he ought to know because he seems to know what the poll is about.
The key metric in any poll is voter intention. Who do you intend to vote for? That's the key metric. Today they published it on a Saturday, which is the lowest sales of any newspaper today, when it shows that the PNP is 5% ahead. You know, we were at 9 at the end of September, so we have come off a bit. The Labour Party hasn't got any of that. They are where they were. It's the undecided that have grown.
Now, folks, if this man is not an idiot, I don't know who is. Right? The paper that he's talking about that brought the poll to the attention of the public is the Gleaner. The Gleaner published it, and they published it on a Saturday, unlike what they did before in the past. They would always publish this finale, front page, on the Sunday Gleaner. But for some reason, they chose to publish it on a Saturday. Now, I was looking forward to it, you know. And I'm telling you, if this imbecile did not open his mouth and talk about it, I did not know it was published. Because it is very significant, that particular poll. When the Don Anderson went out doing the PNP's commission poll, and poll commissioned by some unknown business people, the PNP was as high as 39, must be 0.3%. Then when the commission poll was done again, it went down to 36, thereabouts, and now it's down to what, 35, right? What it shows is that the PNP is on the down under this man's leadership. And this is since the local government elections. Right? The party is slipping, as the Gleaner said. And the Gleaner, which is very partial to this Englishman, because remember, it was Joe Matalon, who is the chairman of the Gleaner Company, who came out and publicly endorsed Mark Golding's leadership, talking all kind of damn nonsense and rubbish about his leadership. When Joe Matalon ought to know Mark Golding never run a damn thing in all his life. Never run anything. He was a lawyer. Right? And him is out there telling the Covenants must vote for this Englishman because him going to make a good leader. So the Gleaner has been very partial to the People's National Party, which is highly unusual. They are again at their own activism. We have seen how they've been publishing the news, right? And here is this clown upbraiding the Gleaner for doing him a favor. by trying to hide the result and the fact that the party is going downward at a time when it should be going up. Yes, when the party slipped by a total of 3.9%, the Labour Party only got 0.5%, but they have been trudging upward, right? Their movement is going up and the PNP is coming down rapidly when them say the government is doing a bad job, right? The PNP is slipping, and that is what the Gleaner was trying to hide when they put it in the Saturday Gleaner, knowing that hardly anybody going to notice it and it might slip by without us, especially us, and the Labourites noticing the results. The fact that it also contradicts what it was that the Blue Dot says is another matter, but that is not why it is so, absolutely remarkable. What is remarkable about the party standing poll results is this unbelievable situation where when the respondents were asked whether the parties were doing a good job, a very good job, a poor or very poor job, the respondents, 18% of them alone said the People's National Party is doing a very good and good job. 18%. And 46% of them said they're not doing a good job. But what is amazing is that the poll said 30% of those interviewed, those surveyed, said the Labour Party was doing a very good and good job. And only 37% said they were doing a poor and very poor job. And yet, when they asked the people how they're going to vote, Don Anderson would like us to believe that 35.3% of the people said I'm going to vote for the PNP. What does that mean? It means that there are people in that poll of the 18% who said I'm doing a good job. We know them going to vote. Why would you vote for somebody or not vote for somebody that is doing a good job? So those 18, so where did that other 17.5 come from? It would either be from the group of persons who said the party is doing an average job, or it's coming from the group on the Labour Party side who said that Andrew is doing a dreadful job. You would expect that if them say Andrew is doing a bad job and them going to vote, then they would vote PNP. What is amazing though is that of those persons who said that the PNP is doing a bad job as opposition, 46% of them, 46 said the PNP is doing a bad job, and yet the Labour Party could only get 0.5% of that 46% who said they are prepared to vote JLP. And perhaps that is a reason why the Gleaner, seeing this strange anomaly in this poll, decided to bury it in the Saturday Gleaner, and this imbecile come back with no say it exists. And him think that the poll results was favorable to him. And he admitted that the party slipped, but him still think that the result was favorable to him. And the Gleaner should have put it on the front page of the Sunday Gleaner that the PNP slipped, and is that him want the comrades them to see on the front page of the Sunday Gleaner. The Gleaner seems to me to have been playing politics by putting that news in the Saturday paper. They seem to have understood what consternation would come into the hearts of the PNP people and blame Mark Golding for the slippage. Yes, because it is his numbers that went down from a positive rating, according to the Gleaner, of 33% in September last year to 23%. He fell 10 percentage points. And as for the negative, it moved from 25% to 39%. That's 14-point increase. And that is a significant fall, right? We believe that the previous polls were bogus anyway. But taking it at face value, it is a significant fall. And he is the one that brought the party down. He did something that the people did not like, and therefore they decide that they're not going to vote PNP. Simple as that. And that is what the Gleaner appears to have seen and was trying to protect this clown from, and then go bawl it out and then accuse them of being in the pockets of the JLP. Can you imagine?
In the meantime, they've had their conference, they've had the Spark program, they've had the Reserve Income Tax Credit, which is essentially a $20,000 grant to over 300,000 people. They've just been spending money to try and get themselves back to where they were. And we have been a bit cautious in putting out our ideas because we have found on multiple occasions that they tend to be appropriated by the Labour Party. And then they're so powerful in the media and their communications is so strong. It's very difficult for us to set the narrative to show that we were really the originators of that idea. And so we are trying to time our release so that we don't suffer from that. But in the meantime, we have held our own in the polls, and I think when we start to now reveal what we intend to do for the people, we will see the growth.
What growth would that be now, Massa? What are you talking about? By the time you come out and announce what it is you're coming with, you're going to have problems. Because every program you're going to come with, any announcement of any new program that you're coming with is going to cost us taxes, additional taxes. Because all of the monies that are there now are spoken for. So how you think you're going to be able to win over any voter or can tell them about you're going to introduce taxes? And even if you try to carefully avoid it, the government is going to go there and tell them, say, it's going to cost taxes. The minute you start opening your mouth about those things that you're coming with, you're going to start to lose votes. And I suspect it was Dayton Campbell's utterances. Why are you slipping in the poll? Right? This business of taxes, is a hot topic, Master. Hot topic.
I mean, there's a lot. I could speak on every area if I needed to, agriculture and many other things. But essentially, we have a very difficult task ahead of us. Yeah. But if Jamaica doesn't get a change of government now, I don't know what kind of state we're going to be. Because we have a corrupt government and a power-hungry government. And they're supported by the elite. And the media is bought out by them too. So it's not an easy road to trod the road that we are treading, comrades. It is not going to be easy to get them out. Because, the news, the things that we put out don't get covered. Even today, there's a poll being run right now. It's independent. I think it was paid for by some business people. A Don Anderson poll. The key metric in any poll is voter intention. Who do you intend to vote for? That's the key metric. Today they published it on a Saturday, which is the lowest sales of any newspaper day. When it shows that the PNP is 5% ahead. We were at 9 at the end of September, so we have come off a bit. The Labour Party hasn't got any of that. They are where they were. It's the undecided that have grown. In the meantime, they've had their conference, they've had the Spark program, they've had the Reserve Income Tax Credit, which is essentially a $20,000 grant to over 300,000 people. They've just been spending money to try and get themselves back to where they were. And we have been a bit cautious in putting out our ideas because we have found on multiple occasions that they tend to be appropriated by the Labour Party. And then they're so powerful in the media and their communications is so strong. It's very difficult for us to set the narrative to show that we were really the originators of that idea. And so we are trying to time our release so that we don't suffer from that. But in the meantime, we have held our own in the polls, and I think when we start to now reveal what we intend to do for the people, we will see the growth.
Folks, let me leave it here for now. I meant to come and talk to you about the polls, but I will, and I have another interesting topic. I think I might touch on that first. But for now, let me thank you all for joining me, for sharing, liking, subscribing, and leaving your comments in the comments section. Until next time, take very good care of yourselves and walk good.